Hi everyone, welcome to the sixth lecture and the last lecture of this training series regarding the manual changes that we have made from Kenya WSTC CAP this year. This one is focused on change of margin. It's conducted by me, Jami. I'm one of the DCS for WSTC this year. This is a relatively straightforward and short video, but it is very useful because margin in particular is perhaps one of the most important thing that helps to make sure the tournament is in consistency across judges and the tournament. And therefore, we think it is very crucial that judges pay key attention to this particular training. The angle here is the way to understand the margin is that the ballot that you submit should always reflect how clearly one team beat the other. And therefore, it should indicate essentially to what extent it was easy for you to decide the round, how clear, for example, the win was, and so on, so forth. The reason why this was added is because this should now give judges a range of bands that helps judges for the first time in WSTC official championship to have a sense of what margin of victory referred to what. And we hope this will help make scoring consistent and standardized across WSTC for this year and for years to come afterwards. The details of it you can see in the slide here. It is rather self-explanatory, but I'm going to walk you through very briefly, just so we have a clear understanding of this overall. If you look at the first row there, for a margin between 0.5 to 2.5 of a win, that means the round is very close. And therefore, in that particular round, it's possible that reasonable judges disagrees. It is possible that, for example, it was decided on very small factors, maybe a narrow clash, a marginal weighing, and so on and so forth. So it is a very narrow win, and therefore we would call that a very close debate. If you then look at the margin between 3 to 5, the range then becomes close but clear. And the way you would understand that is yes, judges might view it differently. However, the winning team that you would have, they should likely stay in front or ahead across most of the decision. So, although it might be close, it should be clear that they are the winning team. The next band pushes it up even more. In this case, as you can see, one team should be consistently ahead, and therefore they should be overall more convincing, and that should be a clear win with no room for ambiguity. Now, if you look up clear win with a more extent, then that takes to the margin of 10.5 to 20, in which case it becomes a dominant win. And that means not only they were always ahead, the winning team, but they were ahead in a major advantageous way. They set the direction of the debate, and the opposing team had very limited influence in the overall decision of that particular round. The last margin is an overwhelming win margin with a margin that goes above 20.5 plus. Now, we want to note here carefully that this is not an usual case, and this happens only when, in a rare instance, a winning team shows an extensive level of decisive superiority in all three contexts of content, style, and strategy. And it happens in a way that the losing team's material had almost no impact on the round. And therefore, this only applies when two things happen. Both, one, the winning team performs really well, but two, at the same time, the losing team performs very poorly. I want to note one last thing here. If you look at the range of margins, they are quite large ranges. So, for example, on the dominant win margin band, you can see it's between 10.5 to 20. That's quite a large margin. Now, which one do you know or figure out to be the most appropriate placement then? What you should ask yourself is based on the description of the round, to what extent of it are you on the upper end of the band or the lower end of the band? So if I use the example of the first margin then between zero point 0.5 and 2.5 for a very close debate, if you figure out that it was a narrow clash and just that, and that is the only descriptive difference in the round, then perhaps it would be a zero point 0.5 margin. However, if you think no, it's narrow, but there is other angles as well. There's the marginal weighing involved. Maybe the extent of statistic impact is quite strong in that particular round. Then maybe the margin would be higher, and that's how you should consider the range within each band. We hope this is helpful for judges coming to WSTC this year, and we wish you all the best. Thank you very much.